It's Football Friday with Rashad Mitchell. For tonight, let's look back at the games I played last week. Pro football, NFL. We're gonna start with college football first. Not that much going on last week, but did have a few upsets. So I'm gonna go over that. South Florida upset number 13 Florida, 18-16. So that was a shocker. You had Baylor upsetting number 17 SMU, 48-45 in double overtime. And number 12, Arizona State was upset by unranked Mississippi State, losing 24-20. And you had two teams that were ranked against each other between Oklahoma versus Michigan. And Oklahoma won by a score of 24-13. So you got games tomorrow. What stands out in week 3, you got a few compelling games. Number 6, Georgia versus number 15, Tennessee. Got number 18, South Florida versus number 5, Miami. Number 16, Texas A&M versus number 8, Notre Dame. I got Georgia and Miami and Notre Dame being the winners this weekend. College football landscape. Keep your eyes also on Florida as they travel to LSU at 9 Death Valley. I think LSU will win in a close one. All right, so let's look into the NFL Week 1. The game of the week was definitely the classic comeback between two Super Bowl contenders like Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills. And the Bills won 41-40, overcoming a 15-point deficit of 34-19 and 40-25 respectively. Josh Allen, the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills, threw for 394 yards, included 2 touchdown passes and 2 touchdown rushes. Keon Coleman had 8 passes caught, 112 yards, and a touchdown. Kicker Matt Prater made the game-winning field goal as time expired from 32 yards. And how about quarterback Aaron Rodgers? He threw 4 touchdowns, passes against the New York Jets, winning 34-32 on the road. Rodgers showed that despite his age, he can still play at a high level. Then the Packers, they beat the Detroit Lions by a score of 27-13 at home, led by Avonte Deans, featuring obviously Michael Parsons, who had 1 sack. Quarterback Jordan Love of Green Bay threw 2 touchdown passes, including 188 yards passing. And then that's the narrative with that. So moving forward to week 2, the game of the week is between the Super Bowl rematch between the Kansas City Chiefs versus the Philadelphia Eagles. The Chiefs are coming up with a tough loss against the Los Angeles Chargers, losing by a score of 27-21. This is a must-win for the Chiefs. Obviously, they don't want to go 0-2, but I think when it's all said and done, I think the Chiefs will pull it out. They will beat the Eagles. They'll beat the Eagles. Other games I got going, I think the Steelers will beat the Seahawks, Bills over the Jets, Rams over the Titans, the Lions over the Bears. Also, we take the trip down memory lane on this day, September 12th, back in 1970, 55 years ago. The USC Trojans faced the Alabama Crimson Tide, which will be a watershed moment in college football lore because it was the first time an integrated football team played in the state of Alabama. The Trojans won 42-21, led by running back Sam Bam Cunningham, ran for 135 yards. He scored 2 touchdowns against an all-white Alabama team. Alabama head coach Bill Bryant scheduled this matchup due to the integration for the program, including recruitment of his first black player, but faced resistance from the state's trustees. So the impact and significance of this game was a game changer due to racial integration of football and college athletics in the American South. Superior talent of USC resulted in Alabama integrating its program. Wilbur Jackson and John Mitchell will be the first blacks to integrate Alabama football and be the catalyst to Alabama return to national dominance the following season. All right, so I'm not done yet, so let's go over other games that may be interesting to you. The college football landscape of things. Right now in college football, Houston is beating Colorado 19-14 with 2:38 to go in the third quarter. Purdy will not be playing this week. Jones doesn't start for the Saints. So Purdy's dealing with some type of injury. Let's see the injury it is that he's dealing with. Left shoulder and toe injuries that he suffered. Toe injury that he's dealing with, so he's gonna be out. Obviously, what's his name is out also George Kittle. He's on injury reserve due to hamstring injury. So the 49ers are banged up. And it's the problem that they had in the past. Guys being hurt. Now, let's continue on. Let's get the schedule of the games that I didn't talk about in college football. Obviously got Georgia, Tennessee, Miami, South Florida, Notre Dame, Texas A&M. Got Wisconsin, Alabama. Not no, Wisconsin's not ranked, but they play Alabama, the 19th team in the country. Ole Miss plays Arkansas. It could be like an upset alert. Vanderbilt, South Carolina. You never know. Right, so let's get into NFL. Look at the games, all the games that's going to be played this weekend, week 2. Let's get into it. Let's get into it. We'll start with Chicago Bears versus Detroit Lions. This is an interesting game. Look at this game. Obviously, the Bears coming off a tough loss, 27-24 on Monday night to the Minnesota Vikings. Now they're going to face Detroit Lions, and this is big because you got Ben Johnson, who was the offensive coordinator for Detroit Lions. Now he's the coach of the Chicago Bears. He's going to be coaching against his former team. So look at the Bears. They want to establish consistency on offense for full game, which means better accuracy from Caleb Williams, the quarterback for the Bears, and fewer penalties. So they're going to be playing in Detroit for a field. So Chicago will have to use a silence case to avoid racking up false start penalties. Establishing better rushing attacks a priority. So we'll see what happens with that for the Lions. Obviously, Ben Johnson returns to Detroit. Detroit is also looking to avoid an 0-2 start for the first time since 2021. That was Dan Campbell's first season. What to know about stats in this game is that Lions quarterback Jared Goff is seeking to become the first starting quarterback to win 11 straight games when coming off a loss since Aaron Rodgers did it for the Packers, spanning from 2018 to 2022 seasons. Jets and the Bills. Look at the Bills. Even though they won this game, the problem with the Bills is their defense, not their offense. They did give up a league high 238 yards rushing, and the Jets put up the 4th most rushing yards in week 1, 182. And slowing it down would be more difficult with Ed Oliver, the defensive tackle, who had a big game in week 1, is out with an ankle injury. So see what they do with that. The Jets, on the other hand, always have scoring problems because the Bills, they've been held under 23 points in the past 12 meetings. See if they can change that. Stat knows that Josh Allen has 18 career turnovers against the Jets, the most by any quarterback. than any quarterback against a single opponent since he entered the league in 2018. Browns and the Ravens. With the Browns, the defense did just about everything they could last week to stop the Bengals offense. Now they have a tough task stopping Derrick Henry. But Cleveland has had some success in limiting Henry since Jim Schwartz became the defensive coordinator in 2022. They held Henry to 75 yards. And asked how hard it is to tackle Henry, Grant Delpit, the safety, says, not hard. Then you look at the Ravens. Lamar Jackson is looking to reverse his fortune against the Browns, who have defeated him twice the past 3 meetings. Jackson has completed 55.9% of his passes for 5 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. Stat knows that the Ravens are 12-2 following the losses 2022, the second best record in the league in that span behind the Chiefs, who are 9-1. They also have the lowest points per game differential, 8.6 plus 8.6 in each such games over that time. The Jaguars and the Bengals. Travis Hunter's defensive snaps will increase this week, according to Liam Cohen, coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. He added that it was part of their plan to ease him into the defensive side of the ball, not related to the fact that the Jaguars are facing arguably the NFL's best receiver duo in Jamal Chase and T. Higgins. So see what happens with that. Hunter played 42 snaps on offense and only 6 on defense in the season opener. For the Bengals, there are a few items on the checklist early down efficiency, according to for Dan Pitcher. Sustained drives, third down conversions. Snay had no first downs on 60% of his drives against the Browns. That was the worst rate in week 1. The Bengals now, they're going up against a strong front 7, led by edge rusher Josh Hines Allen, and linebacker Forsaid Olorkun, AFC's Defensive Player of the Week. Stat knows that the Bengals had 7 yards in the second half against the Browns, making them the first team to win a game less than 10 yards in the second half since 1995. The Colts had 3 yards. Seahawks and the Steelers. Mike McDowell's 2-word response casts even more into quarterback Rick Ulin's short and long-term future with the Seahawks. He says, we'll see. Former Pro Bowl players fight for his job after his latest costly miscues. A pair of throws he misplayed on the successful drive of Seattle's season opener. Coupled with the emergence of number 3 corner Josh Jobe. Woolen figures to play. His combination of size, 6'4", 210-pound speed might make him Seattle's best option to match up with DK Metcalf, the former Seahawk. For the Steelers, they got to show up their defense against the run. They struggled against the Jets. So see what happens with that. Seth knows that the Steelers are looking to start 2-0 for the second straight season. In 2024, they started 3-0. They started 3-0, finished 10-7, made the playoffs. This will be Pittsburgh's first time starting 2-0 for the season since the 2016-2017 seasons. Then you got the 49ers and the Saints. Now, again, the 49ers are banged up. They have been accustomed to playing without many of their big stars because of injury. So it's deja vu all over again. No George Kittle, no Brock Purdy. George Kittle gets in with a hamstring injury. Brock Purdy is dealing with a toe and shoulder injury. And Brandon Ayuk got a knee injury. So they banged up. For the Saints, Julian Blackman will have surgery on his injured shoulder, paving the way for rookie Jonas Sanker to make his first start. Stat knows that the Saints have not started 0-2 since 2017, when they eventually finished the season 11-5, lost in the divisional round to the Vikings. Rams and the Titans. Keep your eyes on Puka Nacua. He's a player who checks every box you're looking for, according to Sean McVay this week. And rightfully so. Puka Nacua had 10 catches for 130 yards in the season opener against Houston. Enters week 2 with 194 receptions through 29 NFL career games. And Nacua needs 12 receptions to tie Odell Beckham Jr. for the most receptions for a player in his first 30 games, 206. As far as the Titans are concerned, the penalties, they got to correct that. Going to defensive coordinator Denard Wilson. guarding Jarvis Brownlee's Jr.'s rush coverage. He was flagged 3 times for 57 yards. Stat knows that quarterback of the Rams, Matthew Stafford, is 3 touchdown passes shy of 881 in his career, which will tie Matt Ryan for ninth most all time. Giants and the Cowboys. Both teams are 0-1. For the Giants, obviously the Giants have a tough time playing against the Dallas Cowboys. They have not gotten a win against the Cowboys in a long time. They need to win a positive performance against a team that has won 8 straight. And the Dallas Cowboys have beaten the Giants 8 straight times. And 15 of their past 16 meetings, and have been dominated, especially with Dak Prescott in the lineup. So that's what Giants got to deal with. For the Cowboys, the Cowboys have not started 0-2 since 2010. Prescott has won 13 straight starts against the Giants. The second longest winning streak against an opponent behind Miami's Bob Greasy, beating Buffalo 17 straight from 1968 to 1979. Instead, knows that Dak Prescott is 33-9 in division games, which is the second best mark by any quarterback starting since AFL-NFL merger in 1970. Trailing only Patrick Mahomes, 35-6, 854 winning percentage, 78.6 winning percentage for Prescott, and Tom Brady, 98-27, 784 winning percentage. Minimum of 25 starts. You got the Patriots and Dolphins. For the Patriots, it's about the running back snap distribution that could be changing after week 1 loss, which Ramondre Stevens led the way with 46 snaps, followed by rookie Trevion Henderson, 25, and Antonio Gibson, 5. The Patriots only ran for 60 yards and fewest in the opener since 1996. Getting the grind going is going to be a point of emphasis. For the Dolphins, obviously, they had a rough week this past week, getting blown out by the Colts. See what happens this week. Stat knows that Cuba quarterback Tua Tagovailoa is 7-0. He's undefeated against the Patriots. Never lost to the Patriots. Tua Tagovailoa is 7-0 in his career against the Patriots. Then you got the 405/425 games, including the nightcapper on Sunday Night Football and the Monday night games, 2 Monday night games. The Broncos and the Colts, 4 or 5 p.m. For the Broncos, the Colts offense that scored in all 7 positions. The team's week 1 win has the attention of the Broncos defense. So obviously Daniel Jones played very well. He was 22 of 29, 272 yards against Miami. So look for Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator of the Broncos, to blitz early and often. Possibly typically with 5-man pressures, but Jones repeatedly punished the Dolphins, who had their second highest blitz rate. So Denver will have to be judicious. For the Colts, new defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo put Miami in a spin cycle with his game plan that was masterful, with savvy blitz calling. So we'll see what happens with that. The Colts held Miami to 211 yards of total offense and forced 3 turnovers. So that knows that Broncos quarterback Bo Nix has had 5 games with multiple interceptions since the start of last season, tied with Baker Mayfield for Tampa for most in the NFL in that span. The Panthers and the Cardinals, 4 or 5 p.m. Keep your eyes on Bryce Young. Had another dreadful opener, but there's optimism against the Arizona team that he's had one of his best games against late last season. Young completed 65.4% of his passes for 2 touchdowns with no picks, rushed for 68 yards, winning overtime 36-30 last season, and see what happens this week. For the Cardinals, Jonathan Gannon was pleased that his team earned a win against the Saints. See what happens with that moving forward in this game. Cardinals are looking for their first 2-0 start since 2021, which was the team's most recent playoff appearance. Then you got the rematch of last year's Super Bowl. Eagles and the Chiefs. It's a must-win for the Chiefs. They're 0-1 right now. Eagles are 1-0. For the Eagles, it's about their secondary. How they play in the secondary. Dory Jackson didn't play well. He had over 100 yards receiving and missed 2 tackles in the opener. So look for Jakarian and to get some snaps if Jackson doesn't play well. Rookie Andrew Makuba, Sidney Brown splitting reps in week one. See what happens with that. The secondary needs to be better this week, despite if Kansas City's short-handed at receiver. For the Chiefs, must win. They're gonna be the Hunters. See how they handle it this week. This is the fourth Super Bowl rematch in week 1 or 2 of the season. Only one team has ever won a Super Bowl in the rematch, which is the Broncos against the Panthers in 2015 Super Bowl, 2016 week 1. So fourth Super Bowl rematch in week 1 or 2 of the season. That's just that to know. The fourth rematch in the Super Bowl. As far as rematches, week 1 or 2 of the season. One team has won Super Bowl in the rematch. That was the Broncos beating the Panthers. That was the 2015 Super Bowl and 2016 week 1. All right, you got the nightcapper, Sunday Night Football, the Atlanta Falcons against the Minnesota Vikings. It's a pretty good game. The Falcons were second in the league last season in rushing success rate, 47.5% behind John Robinson, a stout offensive line. So in week 1, Atlanta was second to last in that category, 28.6%, 30th in the league in run block, win rate 63%. Let's see what happens this week with that. Get better with that. For the Vikings, they got to deal with quarterback Michael Penix Jr. According to Kevin O'Connell, is a better run than some give him credit for. Caleb Williams ran for 58 yards and a touchdown on 6 carries against Minnesota. Week 1, the Vikings will try to keep Penix in check at a time. Multiple different stars and key players are missing injuries. Like inside linebacker Blake Cashman has a hamstring injury, was part on injury reserve this week. The availabilities of linebacker Andrew Van Ginkel has a concussion. Jeff Okuda, cornerback, has a concussion. Now, stat to know is that Penix has 298 yards passing the loss to the Buccaneers in week 1. Last Falcons player to record at least 250 yards passing was the team's first 2 games was Matt Ryan 2020. Then you go to the 2 Monday Night Football games, Buccaneers and Texans. For the Buccaneers, you got the quarterback C.J. Stroud, who shredded the Bucs defense in Houston during his rookie season 2023, throwing for 470 yards and 5 touchdowns. Todd Bowles, the coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, certainly has not forgotten about that. So even if he wants to make a statement on the improvements of his defense he has made since, he can be on a limiting explosive plays, limiting that from happening, the explosive plays. So Texas had the eighth highest explosive play rate, 14.4% in 2024. The Falcons hit the Bucs with a big play early last week. For the Texans, D'Amico Ryans, according to him, and C.J. Stroud, is that the offense has to have more urgency. Expect Houston to do everything in its power to put the idea that it's lacking initiative to bed. The Texans will need to plan to limit the Bucs' defensive front after Stroud took 3 sacks against the Rams last Sunday. That will have to be a much bigger factor in whether they win. Sutton knows that Todd Bowles, is 1 win shot of becoming the 5th coach in Bucs history with 30 wins going to playoffs. In the last game of week number 2, Chargers and the Raiders, a good game. Both teams are 1-0. And look at the coaches, man. Jim Harbaugh, coach of the Chargers, and Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll of the Raiders, they have a rivalry stemmed back 2 decades when they were college coaches in Pac-10. I think Jim Harbaugh was coaching Stanford at the time. Obviously, Pete Carroll was coaching USC. Then you got the Raiders. Keep your eyes on their best pass catcher. The stats of Brock Bowers, he had a knee injury in week 1. So during the viewing period of practice with reporters, Bowers watched the team stretch from the sideline without a helmet with a sleeve on his left leg. Bowers told reporters we'll see how it feeling throughout the week. I hope to play against the Chargers. And Staten knows that the Chargers are seeking their 4th straight win against an AFC West opponent after going 3-10 in their previous 13 games against the division rival. All right, so that's it, man. That's it for tonight. Football Friday with Rashad Mitchell. Be back on Monday for the classic books with Rashad Mitchell. Second Thessalonians chapter 1, 2, and 3, and continue to read about the 1970 season NFL. Continue on with the chapter 1. Continue to build on that, and I'll take it from there. So that's it for tonight. I'll keep supporting the channel. Subscribe, like, do what you can support. Tell whoever it is that likes it, if they want to be part of this channel, they can join and I said be a subscriber and enjoy the content. That's all that needs to be said about that. So until then, talk to you on Monday.